Today we have Roman Puzat from Moscow, I guess. Yes, I am in Moscow right now. And we are now in the Opera House in St. Petersburg. It's a pity that you can't be here in person. However, I'm glad to see you, at least like this. A couple of words about you for those who don't know you. You're a webmaster, a very experienced one. You're into website optimization, and you have a conference, Kinza, right? Yes, absolutely right. It was almost the first conference I have ever visited. It was a long time ago, and there was a great after party. Glad to hear that. And at that moment I understood that I'd like to be in this industry for a while. I saw the fun you were having there. Yeah, it was 2015. There were tigers, bears. So today you're gonna tell us about a case. We can't have too many cases. Cases are good. How to increase traffic for websites in a competitive niche by threefold through microsegmentation. Before you start, I'd like to let Olga remind us our schedule, and after that you'll speak freely. After Roma's speech we'll have an online lottery, so please stick with us. And also today we'll have a boxing ring, if you haven't forgotten. By the way, women will be competing, and you know how it may be difficult for women in the CPA industry, and our boxing match will show the best. And we'll have an online party as a finishing touch. It's prepared especially for us by a very famous St. Petersburg DJ. Maybe he's even famous internationally. And you'll hear about the concept of this conference, how we combine 3 languages, 3 stages. It will be really interesting. Please stay with us, and we'll be waiting for you. So, Roman, the floor is yours. You can start. We're all ears. Thank you, guys. I'm ready. If you have my presentation, let's roll it. Go on. So, friends, let me start with introducing myself and what I'm doing, because maybe somebody don't know the thing about the things I'll be talking about. So as a starting, I'd like to mention the year 2008, when I have started on the information websites that were created for the search engine traffics. Were a novelty, and usually people monetized their websites at the time by selling links. And in 2013, the idea of automation grew up, and the first conveyors, so-called, appeared in 2013, and me and my team grew from 32 to 150 projects in 1.5 years, and that was my leap. And the most interesting stage was starting from 2017, when the search engines paid attention to the fact that the info sites grew in number, and that they gained a lot of traffic, a big share, and that the game has to be changed. And the quality of such info sites should be changed. And starting from 2017, search engines actively started fighting or challenging such websites. And we can say that the year 2017 divided those who just started in the industry, and the rest left. And I'd like to speak about the development of search engines and how to stick in the industry and get a lot of traffic from search engines. So we'll speak of good approaches for 2020 and 2021. I believe it will be fruitful as well. It's maybe quite challenging for us because the world is ever-changing and we have to stay on edge all the time. The competitiveness is rising. At the beginning, you could just create a site and you're good because you have a website and the user sees you. However, as the number of lookalike websites grew, people started understanding that we have to make better websites of better quality, and that was the time when people started attracting SEO specialists. Search engine optimization came into the market, and content platforms such as one of Yandex appeared in 2017, and they very rapidly took the top ranks, and content platforms is one of the important players in the traffic market. And we should take into account all three: ordinary websites, quality search sites, and content platforms. And we should find the true balance between those three factors. And to correctly assess the situation, we should take into account several groups of factors. And all those types of websites I have mentioned will be important for us. The search engine optimization websites and so on, it all affects the rank of the site. First group of factors is copyright website. Everything concerning copy, whether it's relevant, whether it has keywords, and so on. Then user content, whether the user is satisfied with the content you serve. Maybe you're the best for the user and he won't go any further. Then the linkability, how often you are linked to from the different websites. And it also concerns the issue of the number of web pages on a website. And if we think of all three groups of websites concerning those facts, we can see the following picture. I'd like to show it to you. For example, the copyright factors are the less effective. However, these factors may be the benefit of the webmasters, because people who write are not search engine optimization specialists. They just write how they write. They don't think about the optimization and keyword density, how they structure their copy, and how they really cover the topic. If we speak of those who really pay attention to copy, it's the media. Media usually employs profi specialists to write the copy. They use exclusive materials like photographs and quotations. So what concerns the media copywriting is usually of high quality because they employ specialists to do that. The next factor groups is user satisfaction. And the ordinary websites lose absolutely because a user visits such sites, maybe makes a few clicks, and then leaves. The user doesn't linger. So customer behavior is very simple, and such websites don't have any hooks to grab the user's attention. For example, at the platforms, the second category, there are some things that catch users' attention, algorithms that show the user specifically the things they are looking for. and that contributes to user satisfaction. For example, if you're looking for a soup recipe and you are served a car insurance, you're not satisfied. So platforms do the right thing by employing algorithms. And media are at the top again because they employ algorithms and also they calculate what things are better served to the user. And media are usually really relevant to the user. And media can also be narrowly specialized in topics. If we talk about links and link factors, media is also winning here because media has themed links and other websites usually link news to the media websites. And various websites don't have a narrow specialty, so they have to quote media websites. Usually, common websites don't use links to promote their websites and web pages, so they don't really employ the factor. And if we think about such factor of how old the website and about its reputation, platforms are the best here because they are usually based on a specialized website. For example, the main page of a search engine like Google or Yandex. And it's absolutely obvious that if a user sees something published on Google, it will be most trustworthy. You can't compare copy published on Google to any other random website. Why I'm telling you about this? So that you understand that currently on the market, if we compare websites, platforms and media, especially in long-term perspective, we will see that platforms, content platforms and media will share the market and ordinary websites won't be on the rise, so that you will be realistic about that and you'll see where it's heading. And with this knowledge you should analyze the market and know the segments of the market that are the most profitable. Despite the fact that content platforms and media websites are the future of this market, search engine is the ocean of traffic. It has a lot of fish. However, if you have small fishes that can successfully survive in this ocean of traffic, and you can earn a lot. And that's why we should focus on such survivable elements that are not interesting, are not covered by the big media. For example, event queries. Some event happens, or some new gadget is launched onto the market, or some hype news. Many websites right away publish this material, and they have the even start, and you are competitive under such in such situation. However, you should pay attention to the things not covered by the big media, and especially by the content platforms. We'll talk about them right now. That's why I'm talking about a case about microsegmentation. Maybe it's very pop and highly monetized. It's medicine. It's closely linked to Nutra. And it's a very competitive niche. Maybe higher competitiveness may be seen only in financial sector. And this case will demonstrate my point right away. To employ the microsegmentation, we have to stratify our website into layers. We have a website and we can discover its KPI and its effectiveness. For example, how effective are all the text and copy on the website? We have 1 million visits per month and we have 1,000 of publications. Then we divide million by 1,000 and we have a KPI for one publication when it comes to traffic in search engines. We can go deeper and count the KPI for every sector and every document. And if you count it, if you calculate it, you will see that on your successful website you have both successful and unsuccessful sectors. When we conducted this test on our medical websites, we saw that there are some topics, some illnesses that are popular among the readers, and then we can divide those illnesses by symptoms, by treatment. And if we, for example, go into treatment, we can see different kinds of treatment drugs, and that some of them are more popular than the others in terms of copyright. We conducted the experiment on the Yandex search engine, because for the Russian segment, this search is the best, because in Google this search is densely filtered, and for the Russian segment, such search queries fall into a harmful for user category, and it's impossible to conduct an experiment and search for our purposes through the Google search engine. That is why we look directly at the Yandex search engine. For example, if we ask post a query Detrolix 1000, we'll have the result showing us that this drug is very popular and everybody writes about it, because everybody searches a query on a scheme drug plus illness. If we go deeper into it, we can find something interesting and something not so covered by the web pages. For example, there's an article showing the drug that wasn't popular in the beginning, and in half a year it brought to the website another 1,000 visits. And such copy costs about 400 rubles, and over time it brings about 24,000 rubles. And it's a very nice investment strategy. And the question is how you find such copy, and how you write such copy, and how do you scale it, because one article is not enough and you need thousands of it for big volumes of traffic. You should understand that if you write about drugs, you may see a maximum of 70 visitors, and then you have somewhat about 20. The topic is the same, however, the drugs yield different results in terms of visits. And your target here is to see and define the parameters that will enable you to define the most effective drugs and articles. We segmented it this way. We divided the drugs by their name, for example, Detrolix, and then the drug plus some other drugs, then comparison of two kinds of drugs, and then subtypes, for example, Detrolix 1000. And then to compare the results on X and Y axes, we compared the search results, and That's how we stratified the search results. 100 by 5,000 and so on. Why we did that? To see which categories of users visit what articles and what segments of our search or of our articles perform better. We looked for segments that break even in under 6 months. So we invest, and in 6 months we have our break-even point and then go into the green. So let's look at the results of our study. They are as follows. When we compared effectiveness and other factors, we saw that the low-frequency queries under 1,000 queries perform better in the search. And here we should know that it was mostly about new or not very popular drugs. The idea was if you have access to new drugs ready for enrollment to the market, you should take them into consideration and enter this niche really aren't. In some cases, although, high-frequency requests also perform well. For example, sometimes more than 5,000 frequency works fine. We tried to understand why this happens. We tried to overlay several graphs, and we try to understand how certain queries work for certain articles. For example, drug plus number. We saw a pattern. For some projects, we saw that they are not popular, and we, after conducting this search, we understood that some queries are not competitive and some patterns of queries are not competitive, and we shouldn't use them because they are not strong for the search. And the strong ones are those that perform well in the search engine and yield profit. For example, if we compare drug versus drug query, this is not standard, and big websites don't cover it. So we don't see the fluctuation here, and we know that we can use this drug versus drug pattern if we work in the medical sector. The next graph shows the correlation between our search queries and different websites. The red part of the graph is the frequency of hits, and the blue part is the volume of traffic. So we can see that no website is absolutely at the top. We see that websites perform unevenly, and there are complex queries that are better used only for the strong websites, and the other queries can be used for all types of websites, or you just waste your budget. So let's sum it up. First, if you have some difficult projects that don't yield good profit or maybe have challenges, you can work with them. However, you'll have to work with low-frequency queries. For such queries like drug versus drug that are not covered by the big media. If you do that, you can make your website go and then change the type of query. If you find yourself in a situation when you have a strong project and you want to do something new, I would use high-frequency queries, starting from 15,000, because it will bring tens of thousands of people every month. What's important? When you test, you have to micro-segment, you have to develop various small categories, so you would better understand how different types of queries work. And so you wouldn't employ some things that are not profitable, because sometimes we just take the semantic nucleus and we use all keywords at once, and all our queries are high frequency, and it just doesn't perform well. You have to micro-segment and understand what truly works for you and what is the best for your situation and your type of project. To understand better, instead of 3,000 drugs that are covered in big media, we chose 300 of average drugs divided by their type, the illness, the topic, and that is our result. Almost from the start, we started publishing such copy, and starting with an average of 400 articles, we managed to rise to 255,000 unique clicks per month. You can see that in 2019 there's a drop in traffic. There was a fight of search engines against affiliate networks optimization, and there was a big notch at that period on the graph. However, it's still relevant. It shows how microsegmentation works for us. The next case is quite old, really. Website had good KPI. We published 230 articles that were relevant for the project we were working with at the time, and we had almost 5,000 relevant visits every day. And this approach was really profitable concerning the optimization, and it was good for the offer, and we managed to earn almost a ruble per user every day. That is the end of my presentation. I'm ready to answer your questions if you have them. Roman, thank you very much for your talk. It was really interesting. Olga, I know you have some questions to Roman. Yes, maybe it's obvious, a question about microsegmenting. Aside from medical sector, is there a niche that is good for such approach, for monetizing offers, aside from Nutra? Now we are working also with the financial sector, and it yields good results for us. And I would like to make a stress on monetization. If you know a niche that yields high profit, I would choose it and pick those segments inside this niche that are not highly covered by big media. So this micro-segmenting approach is quite universal, that can be applied to any niche and any topic. Right, you're absolutely right. The only thing is, it is important, if you do this, to know that it's all worth it. When we understand that the niche is profitable, the topic is profitable, you can spend maybe half a year for the research, for analysis, and only then launch and have large volumes of traffic. If the topic is not relevant, maybe cross-stitching or something, I wouldn't even try, because it won't make much money anyway. There's a question where you can buy such copy for the websites. There are many profi websites where people write to order. You just have to explain what you need and what your user expects to see on your website, and then you make a brief to the professional, and then you just get your copy. There's a question about the gambling sector. I think our viewers mostly work internationally, and they ask about the approaches and best strategies. It may be a bit difficult for me to give advice on this topic because I don't concentrate my efforts on international market. For example, the filter "Your Money, Your Life" that works for all the websites in Google search. It hits all the average quality websites. I would pick such sectors that do not concern medicine and finance. And for international market, microsegmenting is also relevant. People are asking about the gambling vertical. How can you apply microsegmenting there? Yes, you can use it for the gambling vertical. It depends on the region. If you work for such countries where the search engine don't block websites, like in Russia, because we have the ministry that blocks all the websites that concern gambling. Where if you work with a geo where you don't have such bans and restrictions, then you can really scale with microsegmentation. Because this strategy is universal. You can enter by using this strategy, enter any really competitive niche. You just pick something not covered by the big guys. You just look at search queries, for example, in gambling, casino plus something. You use particular names. If you know the topic, you know those names. So they are not covered by other bigger search queries. If you know it, you can collect all the traffic neglected by others. What do you think will be perspective in terms of countries for gambling? I can't really say. It's not my specialty. Thanks. We don't have any more questions, I think. We have one about the medical websites. Medical websites about incurable diseases. Is a go or is a no-go? Well, it's an ethical question. There are websites about literally everything. And it's a question of whether you feel good about it. You will have your share of traffic with such website. Only our user can answer this question about incurable diseases. I think this is all. Thank you very much. Thank you for your speech, and it was nice to see you and hear about your expertise. We'll have a little break. I think we're saying goodbye for today.